you all for being here. I'm so thrilled that I'm working on two great films, and we're starting out with the Iron Orchard this is going to be a DIF 2018, so it's the 11th edition of DIF, and it has its world premiere on May the 5th at 5 p.m. at the Magnolia. And here today we have, in the center, we have Ty Roberts. He is the director. On the far left is Lane Garrison, and he plays the lead. Jim Neely?
James McNeely.
Jim. Okay. And here we have the beautiful Hassie Harrison. Yep. Right. Okay. Garrison. Oh, I knew everything.
Harrison and Garrison.
Oh my gosh.
It's how he cast us.
Yeah.
How you can rhyme our names.
Right.
Your rhyming ability.
And remind me what your character's name was.
Maisie Wales.
Maisie Wells. So.
Good old Maisie.
And these all have Dallas connections, and so I'd really like to start. And Ty, if you wouldn't mind starting, and tell us a little bit about who you are.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about what you've done in the past, and then kind of what led you to working on this. And then we'll move to Hassie and Lane.
Okay.
And then I would like for you both to also, talk about what you've done in the past, why you would be recognizable.
Yeah.
And if you would just talk about like how you came to working on this, and then we'll get started to
Cool.
go further.
Yeah.
And I'll be right here, so.
Right. Sure.
Okay?
Yeah, hi, thank y'all. My name is Ty Roberts, and I'm actually originally from Midland, Texas, and I left Midland probably at 13, moved to Austin, and that's kind of sort of where I got into a more creative pursuit of things. Stayed in Austin for a while through the University of Texas, and then sort of went on my own and got into the film business in South America, actually. And then came back between New York, Austin, and Mexico for many years. And my original script that sort of got me back into the world of film after college had a story about a kind of a wild and crazy landman, oilman from Midland. And we pushed that script for a few years and never really got anywhere with it. Then I went on and did other projects. And then several years later, I came across the book, The Iron Orchard, which, if y'all know anything about it, it was published in 1967 and co-won the Texas Book of Letters Award that same year, I believe, alongside The Last Picture Show. So it had a really good spotlight back in the day, and it became known as the Wildcatter's Bible. And like everybody in the whole business kind of has read the book or knows the book or knows the infamy of the book or whatnot. It's not necessarily a biography on anyone, but perhaps a compilation of old film characters that most people seem to know about or know of. I was approached, in 2009 through a family friend who had the rights to the book, who wanted to make the movie, and I kind of laughed about it because I was like, okay, an old man who wants to make a movie about the oil field. I get it. I've heard that sort of story before. But I read the book, and it was so engaging, and it's so well written, and it truly was like this really perfect snapshot of the mythic West Texas wildcatter. And it reminded me of stories of my father and grandfather, and just that whole Midland crowd. And I was just like, we got to do this. This is it, because it took me back to that first script I wrote, and I was like, this is that old film story I wanted to tell. And my main goal was to try to honor these old timers and that culture that we have in this state, and to do it in as authentic a way as possible. And that's how I came across these two. I didn't set out to work necessarily with Texas actors, but thank goodness it just sort of serendipitously came to that. And they were not only highly talented, wonderful artists to work with, but they knew the characters and had probably been around those types of characters. And it just lended to the authenticity of everything that we were trying to do. So anyway, that's kind of how it all came together and why we're here.
You also grew up around the world business, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that.
Yeah, those characters, you know, they're kind of one of a kind. You see it in glimpses and giant, you know, jet rink. And this is kind of jet rink side of the story. You see it, there's an old one called Wheeler Dealers with James Garner, I think. I don't know. But yeah, but nobody ever really focused on the West Texas lockout. There Will Be Blood was a California oil man. Yeah, so I wanted to do something for the state. So felt if we didn't do it now, you know, that old bygone era would not be told again. So, yeah.
You're up? Go ahead.
Go for it.
Okay. So my name's Hassie Harrison, and I guess talking about things that I may have been in, I was on a show called Heart of Dixie, and I've been really fortunate to be in a bunch of really cool indie films that I've been really proud to be a part of. Southbound, Dementia. I just did another great movie called Max Reload and the Nether Blasters, which is like 80s video game retro stuff. So, I was brought onto the film. I did a self-tape for Ty, and I guess he responded to that, and we talked over Skype, and it was going to be a quick little meeting, and then we were on Skype for about an hour and a half, and I'm like, okay, well, I think that went well, and we...
I gotta just say, when she did her reading, I was like, oh my God, that sounds like my mom. Who is a West Texas girl, you know? And I think you said, well, I was just talking about my mom or my grandma.
Yeah, totally. It was easy to get the feel for, because like we said, growing up in Texas, we've had exposure to a lot of characters, and you know, like my grandmother is, you know, a product of that era,
Right.
you know, so it lent me many benefits to be able to speak to my grandma and her friends, and be able to have a connection. And of course it was really meaningful to me to be able to kind of go back and look into my own family history and be able to use that for my character, Maisie. So yeah, it all felt really serendipitous, and it kind of wasn't until I got to set that I was like, hey, I'm part of the Team Texas too.
Yeah, we had a good local, like a lot of folks from Texas, but had LA experience. You know,
Yeah.
both these guys. So.
We actually met in LA at a diner with Austin Nichols, who's also from Texas. But even before, you didn't know this because I never told you, right after your audition, he actually sent it to me because he's like, listen to her voice. Listen to her voice. This is the girl. This is how she sounds. So, and then we met up in LA for lunch, and I immediately called him too. So she's perfect.
Aww.
She nailed it.
And I was in workout clothes, so that speaks volumes.
Yeah.
You're able to see past the
I think
fitness apparel.
more so for me, it's, you know, I'm a Texas boy through and through from Dallas, and so immediately there's just that understanding with Texans, like, oh, I can trust you, you're a good person.
Same tribe.
And, yeah, same tribe.
Yeah.
And with me, obviously, I'm from Dallas, originally I went to school right up the road at J.J. Pierce High School, played football. Played football on set too. Friday Night Lights was a big part of my life, and I was in Los Angeles, and a casting director who's actually from San Antonio, who was originally brought on this project, called me up and said, I just read this script and I thought about you the entire time. I'm going to send it to you. And I read it, and it was one of those moments when on page 1, I called him back, I hadn't even read the whole script. It just said, fade in, exterior West Texas day. It was just the description of West Texas brought me back. My dad was a roughneck when I was growing up in Midland and in Odessa. And so
Odessa.
Odessa. It's been a minute, Earlman. And so I remember going back there as a kid and just the setting and the story, I literally called him back and said, I'm in. He's like, read the rest of the script. I'm like, I'm in. It's in Texas. I read the script, then I read the book, and I was really locked in because I thought they did an incredible job with the script. A lot of times you lose that from the book, and they captured everything you can imagine on page. So I flew myself down to Austin to meet with Ty and Houston, one of the producers, and it was Peter as well. And it was one of those moments where I just knew in my soul I was destined to play this character. I knew every emotion that he had walked and had been through that journey. And I told them at that lunch, I remember, I'm the guy for the job. I mean, I was selling myself hard, like, I'm the guy for the job. You don't get it? No, I'm the guy for the job, and I'll do whatever it takes to make sure you know I'm the guy for the job. And for the next 2 years, we kind of all fought, and we didn't fight, but we fought to get this thing made. And I am so blessed to be a part of it. And I'm the harshest critic. I've already seen it, and it just gave me chills. You know, we screened it in Midland for all the little guys, and you know, basically got a standing ovation. And when the guys that really live it are hugging you and saying that's how it's done, and you know you've got something great. And I knew that when we were on set. I mean, we were working. It was, I've never felt heat like that before. I mean, we're all used to 100-degree weather, but it was I'm not exaggerating. It was 114 degrees for like 17 days straight. Day in and day night, and everybody just got behind this project, and this was a labor of love. I mean, you know, and we did this on pennies. So I'm beyond proud of it because I'm proud of this state. I'm proud to be a Texan. I'm proud that it was made by Texans in this state. We couldn't have made it anywhere else.
That's true.
And people were, you know, that's part of the beauty about being in Texas. People literally opened their doors, their cafes. They gave us their oil rigs. I mean, we're talking this
Vintage oil rigs.
Vintage oil rigs. And
That
oil
they had
rigs,
lying around.
oil rigs that were running. They stopped. They shut down. I mean, they stopped producing to make money so we could shoot this thing. They gave us their cars. I mean, everything. I've never met kinder people in my life, and I've shot all over. I know one of the questions was, what have you done in the past? Really, what started my career was I was on Prison Break for years, which actually led me back to Dallas. Season 2, we started shooting here, which was awesome. I used to live at the W Hotel. It was a lot of fun. A lot of trouble. Yeah. Good old Ghost Bar days. But I've done that, and you know, Roots. I was nominated for Roots and Bonnie and Clyde and Shooter and Camp Extra. I've done a bunch of things that I've been really blessed to be a part of. But this is kind of like my swan song. I told him, I was like, I don't know if it gets better. As an actor, I mean, just the range of emotions to get to play period piece, not to mention getting to drive $200,000 Corvettes. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that scene. Do not floor it, Lane. Whatever you do, I peeled up. The shots in the movie looks great. Yeah, it's just, it's really been a blessing to be a part of this, and I think Hassie and Ty, you just know the hard work and the man hours that went into a day and night, 14 to 17 hour days in 114-degree heat, and it was just a blessing. I mean, it was the hardest work of my life, and it was the biggest blessing of my life, so.
Very rewarding, yeah, really.
Yeah.
I can just chime in and say absolutely. The first time I spoke to Ty, it was so clear that this was all based, it was a passion project and how much love he'd already put into it. And I felt so lucky to just come jump in at the end when all the good times were to be had. But you know, I think to turn an epic novel that spans multiple decades,
Yeah.
and turn that into a movie on an indie budget, and what Ty has been able to do is nothing short of miraculous. And
I think to expand on that too, Hassie, is like, sorry, you know, hey, let me shout out again. We love you. Get your next film now. You know, with Bonnie and Clyde, that was a period piece, and that was Andy will probably kill me for saying this, but that was a $22 million budget. Yeah, to get, just to get the cars and the period and everything right. And this was done, I don't know if it was in the budget, but this was literally done for pennies. And to be able to pull off, that's the hardest thing you could do, is make a period piece look authentic on a budget. And Ty was able to do that, and, you know, my hat's off to him. Even my manager saw an early cut of it. You know, a lot of LA people, that's all they do, is they watch movies and they're critics and they nitpick. And after they saw it, they literally called him and said, "You did it, you pulled it off. I don't know how you did this on that budget, but you pulled it off."
I also want to give some props to our DP, Matthew. He did an incredible job in every.
He was probably the only non-Texan there.
Yeah, yes, he was the sweetest French guy who was just thrown into this world of Texans and.
Yeah, I mean,
You have to ice him down like 4 times a day?
what's that?
You have to ice the Frenchman down like 4 times a day?
He was a warrior.
He was such a true.
He had never seen Texas, so of course we're like, we bring him to Midland.
Right.
Odessa,
In the middle of summer.
In the middle of summer, and all he could talk about, the light is so beautiful here. He's like, the sun is burning us to death. But he was a champion. Yeah, he was a warrior.
Yeah, no, he was. His most brutal day was our second day in Austin. And it was hot and humid. And I was like, I saw him sitting over on the edge of the house. I was like, "Matthew, are you okay, man?" He's like, "Oh man, the humidity, it is terrible. You don't like it here. I want to go back to West Texas."
Wow. So how did it come about? How did you know him to bring him on?
Well, we had other DPs attached actually, and schedules kept changing for everybody. And I wanted to bring a European eye to West Texas, just to see if they saw something different.
That's
And to
fascinating.
me, and I'm a big fan of French and
Yeah.
European cinema and Latin American cinema, and I had like the gamut. I had options from every place, and the timing fell into place perfectly for Matthew, and you know, he immediately responded to it. He was in Japan doing a commercial. His agent sent him the script right before he boarded the flight. He read the script on the way to LA or New York. And when he got to New York, he called the agent and said, "Let me talk to him." And within like a day, he was booked to come out. So it was really interesting. And it was a fantastic dynamic between him and our Dallas and Fort Worth grips and electrics. And
Right.
he really loved and enjoyed working with them, and they were really on their game. So it was.
Will you talk about pulling all the sets together, the cars, the clothes, everything that had to come into place
Yeah, absolutely.
to make it authentic?
You know, I do want to say this, because really this made the project go at a certain point over a 6-year period of putting it together and raising money for it. We got the hotel settles in Big Spring, Texas to come on board gratis, like totally as a act of kindness and love for this project, to provide us rooms and food and everything for our cast and crew for 2 months.
Best country fried steak ever.
Yeah, and the Settles was built in 1930 and redone by a Dallas resident by the name of Brent Ryan, who is so generous and so proud of that hotel, and was brilliant to think that, okay, you know, these guys are going to feature the hotel in the movie. It was 8 locations. It made the big shots in the movie, like incredibly, like we couldn't have done it any other way.
And it was so fun all being there together, and
It was a
we all got to really know each other.
blast. And without things like that, you just can't do this. You can't do these projects. And that happened also with our cars. The amount of perfect picture cars in West Texas is staggering. Well, these oil men who, some of them invented sucker rods on, you know, pumping units and sold their company for $250 million. And what do? They stay in West Texas. And they buy ranches and cars. So there were guys with 100 car collections, you know, multitude of those type of guys. And there were a handful of guys that gave us, you know, 20 to 30 cars. to use. So again, all out of the kindness of their heart. The rigs, old school drilling company in Big Spring, Texas happened to have these Kelly units that were invented in the 50s, in the late 40s and 50s. And we figured out a way where they had them out at these fields, but they were in between drilling and they just spudded a well, and they're like, well, we can take some time off drilling to give y'all a couple of days to go film. And you can use our guys and put them in old, you know, wardrobe.
That's awesome.
I mean, it was, you don't get that anywhere. I mean, you might get pieces of this, but at this level,
Even a museum.
the museum, the Petroleum Museum of the Permian Basin, let us shoot 4 scenes at their museum. They have an outdoor rig museum and whatnot. Tons of props. The warehouse is full of great old props. It was just an all-out effort of all these very passionate people who wanted to tell this story, you know, to tell the story of West Texas and oil and all that. And it became this bigger theme than us. And everybody that's seen it, even car buffs to oil and gas guys, are like, you guys nailed the authenticity of it. The vintage of cars, the clothing, the rigs, the way we shot certain scenes and how they do the pipe. And I mean, I don't know how, you know, but we just had the right people involved and people donating time and their expertise to just make sure that, you know, we got it right. And that was the most important thing. The wardrobe too, a dear old friend of mine from high school, I went to high school in Austin, has been working on bigger films for a long time. And she had recently done Deepwater Horizon as like a on-set costume or something. And then she did another one. Oh, the Astronaut
Wives
Club.
Yeah. So I was like, she's got the vintage.
And I was on that.
Oh, you were?
on that, yeah.
What's her name?
Juliana Hoffpower.
She was incredible.
She's incredible. She's just like one of these artists that, you know, she's going to be the real deal.
Yeah,
She is the real deal.
Yeah, no, she is.
And I got to being the one girl here, I can say that I really got to benefit the most from it, and it was so fun.
Yeah, by the way, not a lot of women on set.
No, I was toughing it with the guys, me and Allie.
Your red dress.
Oh,
I'm
the red
so
dress.
glad we
I
used
had
it.
so much fun getting, you know, my character Maisie, she's the salt of the earth, but she always looks like $1 million. And, you know, so I think it was pretty incredible to get to, like, you know, you put the wardrobe on and you just become the character. And then also it was cool, you know, with the makeup, we also, you know, went the decades and, you know, in the 30s we were overlining my lips and doing that kind of triangle thing. And then, you know, you could really see me grow up as a character and go through the decades, which was really cool and special.
Todd just said,
tricky.
when he wanted me to age, he just said, I want you eating a lot of Whataburgers, eat whatever you want.
5 years, but the movie was like 18 years or something. We had scenes with him on single days where he went from a 22-year-old kid to a 35-year-old man to a 28-year-old up-and-comer to back to a kid. And it was just
It was like,
insane.
yeah, that was probably for me the craziest part of it was, and I remember those days of jumping from the 22-year-old kid to 28 to 40 back to 30 and getting in and out of a fat suit, changing makeup on there, because we had no time. I mean, we had no time. And having to run back to the script and just marking where am I at emotionally, who am I at this stage. And it was like a one-man production. I remember we'd all joke about that, jumping in and out of those ages. And it just worked, I think, because I didn't have time to really think about it. It was just go with your gut instinct.
It was like a play.
Yeah, it was like a one-man show. It felt like a lot of days.
I went down for the Texas Film Awards right before South by.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was a kind of a unique panel in the fact that you had Paul Thomas Anderson and Richard Linklater talking about shooting, you know, well, of course, there will be blood, but then there were scenes in that same spot where Giant was shot that they had from Boyhood. And they said there's just something magic about Texas in those areas where literally the sky meets the earth, and it goes forever. And can you talk a little bit, I mean, you know, you really, when you're in, you know, Odessa, you've got that. You know, when you're just in West Texas, you've got that. But can you talk a little bit about that? Were there times you had storms or things roll in and you had to use it for the benefit, or did you have to kind of run for the hills where there are no hills?
You know, I'll show you a photo. Like he was saying earlier, we had one particular day, it was like 112, and then all of a sudden, the storm, you know, thunderhead appeared on the horizon and it slowly came towards us. And then within 15 minutes, it was like, lightning will be striking here within 12 minutes. You have 3 minutes to get your scene. And, you know, it was the oil rig strike, the main first strike, which is thousands of gallons of, you know, this faux oil. We had one shot, you know, not one shot to get it, but one chance to get it. And next thing we knew, it was like, there's a hailstorm behind it too. I mean, it was just 112 degrees and clear 30 minutes before.
Right.
So, gorgeous, unbelievably gorgeous. And some of those shots made it. I just added another one in this week because it was just, it's one beautiful shot I just had to have in there.
I'll never forget that day, actually. I have a great photo of Austin, the lightning striking, like literally 200 yards behind him.
Wow.
It's incredible. Yeah. This is when we all ran for the hills.
Or 20 miles.
Wow, it looks right there.
Yeah.
It was just like run for the hills.
But that's that magic.
Yeah, but there was the old timer because everybody from the town gathered because they wanted to see the oil rig go up.
Yeah.
And I remember this old timer coming up with beer and he's like, "Don't worry about that storm, it'll cut around the mountain on the other side." And then he let me go, "Damn, I was wrong." He was sprinting for the barn and hail's just coming down.
Yeah, we had these picture cars out there, and he and I and like 4 other guys were pushing this like 2-ton truck down this road, trying to get it in the barn. I mean, it was intense. But at the same time, that money shot, hopefully y'all will see it, when that first rig hits, I mean, it's spraying and that sun is right behind it, and it's...
What was your faux oil? Crushed up Oreos?
Yeah. Now, you know, you had to run it through a pump that came out of a old fire truck, and it was some dye, and it had a little, what was it, some sort of a powder that gave it a little consistency to it.
Charcoal or something?
Yeah, it was like some sort of a weird powder. I can't remember what it was, like a nut powder or something. But just to give it.
We got it in Russia. It's kind of weird right now.
Yeah. No, it was organic and like it was a little sticky. There was some molasses in it too, because I remember it was like all the fire ants are going to be out next. Redheads. So yeah, you know the landscapes were incredible. Timing is tough out there. Every location took 45 minutes, almost every location, 45 minutes or an hour or two. When you're working on a 12-hour schedule, you know, you got to get everybody back at a decent hour, or else overtime kicks in and all that sort of stuff. So it was tough to get the great sunset shots all the time. Sometimes we had to be out of there. It was just like, oh, can we just wait? But it's like $10,000 or, you know, whatever it may be to you know, wait 2 more hours or something. It wasn't that. It was, you know, it's expensive. So we had to be very, very judicious. Day one, same thing. Strictly as hot as can be. All driving scenes. We get to this one little scene, the gas station, and a haboob came through. Do you know what a haboob is?
No.
It is.
I'm bet I've experienced one, but probably have never heard it called.
It is a West Texas dust storm followed by a rainstorm.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And so the dirt in the air quickly turns to mud.
A real shitstorm.
Yeah. It really was insane. I mean, it looked like something out of
It was beautiful though.
I was like, can we film it? Can we film it? And Matthew was like, yes, yes. And then it got closer and he was like, shit, man, I don't know that we can film this. All right.
Were there times you had to like protect the equipment from, you know, just windstorm and you come and you kill a Tiffany filter like that?
Yeah, but you know, the wind wasn't terrible. It was a good month for wind. It was the greenest June I had ever seen out there. which that got a lot of rain in May, and it was not what I envisioned for West Texas, because the mesquites were this like effervescent green, like electric green.
Lime green, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I had to really tone that down in post and in color. But the wind was okay. It was constant, but not terrible. It was just when a storm hit or something like that. But we really got nailed 3 times on the storms or electric storms. The back. Those were the ones that really got us twice. So, but we got off pretty well. All in all, for a semi-volatile month. We shot June 6th to July 10th or something. Came to Austin for 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
So.
I have a question for Hassie.
Yeah.
Your character, is there anybody that you kind of base that off? Because I feel like if you graduated high school in Texas, we all know that girl.
I know her.
Yeah. But I mean, was there anybody in particular, or maybe a combination?
To be honest, I looked at so many of her qualities as something that women of an older generation had. There's something about her where she's a constant.
Sure.
She is always in a great mood. She is always bringing her A game. And, I look at something like, to be honest, I looked at it's kind of a game of king and queens, and she's not going to lose her seat at the table.
Right.
And she's only as valuable as her looks. And the more that she's awarded for those, that's her priority in life. And of course, there's many modern day versions of that.
Sure.
But, I look at The Great Gatsby or, some Hemingway books where their only purpose was to, in high society life, was to drink and be having fun at all times. And that was
Right.
it. And so I think that there was something really fun and so different from me as a woman to get to play this character who seems so unaffected by it all.
In modern times, we call those life wreckers.
Oh man. Well, there's something very tragic to
Yeah.
Maisie's character and the decisions that she feels cornered into making in her life.
I
So
think she's cunning and smart. She's a survivalist. You were, like you said, you weren't going to lose your spot at the table.
yeah,
And you did.
truly.
You moved on with Charlie.
It was an age-old sort of very typical characters that you would see of that era. And Jim's character, American Dream, and the pursuit of his, what he feels to be important and being sidetracked by these beautiful.
So, Todd, there's also a connection between the author of the book and one of your actors, correct?
Yes, that is true. The author is deceased. He was actually from Fort Worth, Texas. He was a geologist with Gulf Oil and wrote this book in 66, 67. And his real name was Edmund Van Zandt. But he wrote the book under the pen name Tom Pendleton. His son played Lee Montgomery's father, and Lee was Jim's other love interest in the story. So Ned Van Zandt was the actor, and he's been a crucial part of the whole process. We kind of partnered on the project together with his family to make sure, we did right by the book.
Right.
The author's name is Edmund Van Zandt, and Edmund Van Zandt wrote the Iron Orchard under the pen name Tom Pendleton. He is now since passed, but his 3 children control his estate, and we worked with the children to get the book sort of optioned and written into a script. And it just so happens that one of the sons is a fantastic actor and a real good character actor y'all probably seen. His name is Ned Van Zandt, and he's just a sweetheart, awesome guy. Such a big supporter of the project, and he played the father of Lee Montgomery, who is a West Texas girl. So Maisie's from Fort Worth, and Lee, the other love interest, is from McCaney, Texas, which is south of Midland. And she's kind
But
of...
Leah in real life is really not Texas.
Lee was the
She was a
only-
bit shocked
Oh.
when she got there. She's a
Yeah.
Chicago girl. So she went from living in LA to welcome to 112 degrees.
Allie Coburn,
Yeah.
sweetheart, wonderful girl, was mesmerized by the first cow she saw.
Yeah, yeah. She's like, it's a cow. It's a cow. I'm like, yeah, it's a cow. That's a cow. I'm like, yes. it is." She wanted to stop the van to get out to take photos of this cow. We're just like, what is going on?
Everything together, and it kind of kept everything to the characters. I almost thought there was maybe some themes to what you're doing with the sound design.
Yeah, in terms of the score itself, God, it was an amazing process. I worked with a young composer who's actually LA based, and I never thought I would go to LA to find that person, but I connected with him and he responded so powerfully to it, and his other works were just so incredible that I just went with it. And we wanted to, the whole era that the movie starts out in is really Western swing, the era of Western swing. And if y'all know Western swing, it's not necessarily score type music. It's very kind of upbeat, campy, fast, and we couldn't really use the underlying instruments to create a score with that. So we kind of went with some slide guitar, some just standard, acoustic guitar, some very subtle harmonies, and those sort of built up over the life of the movie into these bigger, larger, more grandiose sort of melodies and full-on orchestral sort of compositions that this young guy, Duncan Thune, incredible composer, literally conducted or co-conducted a orchestra over in Slovenia about a month ago, and a 40-piece orchestra, and just did an amazing job. I mean, he's again a young virtuoso who's gonna knock it out of the park, and already has. He's an Emmy-nominated guy who's got just a lot of talent. The music itself, the recorded, historical music, was a selection of tracks that I dug and looked for with one of my co-producers, Ian Flightus, who was kind of a music type supervisor as well. We just dug through any and everything we could find, and I didn't want standard cliches. I dug for stuff that was harder to find, some Texas artists that a lot of people don't know. And I even have a French song. I have a Andrew's sister song that's partly sung in Yiddish. Yeah, so it's quite eclectic. And we had a screening last week, and everybody really responded to it. I'm excited for y'all. You've seen it.
I haven't.
Yeah, it's eclectic. It's good. There's a whole throwback going on and has been for a while, Texas music and Texas themes. I think this will fit right in. I think it'll be very much appreciated because there's some good classic stuff in there. I didn't always nail the year, but what I did, and unconsciously, I didn't try to find music that thematically fit with the scenes, but they do, and some of them oddly so close to like what's going on in these guys' lives. It almost looks like I tried to do that, but I really didn't. I was going for an emotional response to the music and sort of what was going on in that era. Old-timers, and really the whole sort of look was, we came across some archive footage from the Petroleum Museum of the Permian Basin that was quite haunting in a way. The main guy in this footage was a young old man, and it spanned over probably 20 years, and it was his life going through the oil fields. And he started out driving a pickup truck, like it was a tool and servicing company, which is what Joe Neely was. A green pickup truck, driving around West Texas fixing rigs with his wife. And it's exactly the story. And it goes from there to like bigger rigs, and then bigger rigs. Some of the rigs were the same exact rig, same color, same everything. And even a trip to Mexico in his Super 8. I think it's actually 16 mil.
That's awesome.
It's amazing.
That's so
That
cool.
footage at the end, I'm like, how did you get that? And I thought it was shooting BTS with me. And
Of course you
some
thought it was you.
No. It mimics Jim McNeely's life.
Wow.
In the credits, yeah.
And they even kind of look alike, and he wears the little open road Stetson. I mean, it's unbelievable. The car at the very end is Lee's almost exact memory.
No way.
Really.
Oh, I can't wait to see.
So he was an old West Texas Midland old man that left a bunch of his stuff to the Petroleum Museum. That was part of it. A guy named Ford Chapman, who I've asked some of the old timers in Midland if they knew him, and they said, "Oh yeah, that guy was the coolest guy. Had such a storied career. You know, just a salt of the earth, wonderful dude." So I hope we can help, kind of honor him as well. It's the essence of his life that we wanted to tell through Jim's story. Jim's story has some ups and downs, as y'all will see or have seen. And many old folks can relate to those ups and downs. Most all of them can. So, even though it's not all rosy at all times, it's definitely it's
Real.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting close to wrapping up. Is there anything else that? Yes.
Brought up Stetson, I'd love to know more about hat choices, about the specific look. I mean, you can mess up a whole state if you have the wrong hats.
Oh, you'll get chastised in Texas if you're not wearing a proper cattleman.
And belt guys.
Dude, this guy, he would never admit this right now, but I'll tell you, in between every single shot, what he would do when he would talk to you, he'd be fondling with your hat and like creasing it up, like in an OCD way. It had to be perfect. If it was sit wrong or whatever for everyone, like in between every take, I'd be like, oh, there's Tyler, they're gonna mess with it.
There's one hat in the movie that drives me crazy. And if y'all can spot it, I'll give you $20.
Little Easter egg hat.
It was a big scene with a lot of extras, and it was an Easter egg hat.
Don't give any more away. I want my $20.
So,
Find that out.
Your elaboration on the found footage and because how do you let it inform your aesthetic choices? Because what I'm hearing from you is this appreciation of the working class that you're trying to have come through in this. So, as one of those critics who studied all that critical theory and nonsense in college, I suppose what I would like to know is, were you thinking about that sort of thing as you were going through this aesthetic that you were reaching for in this field? Because I'm still breaking down your shots in a way where I can talk about it.
I'm sorry, in terms of the found footage though?
Yeah, but like what was informing your aesthetic choices?
Well, what's interesting is we found the footage after.
Really? Okay.
And all it did was confirm that he did it right. I mean, to an extent where the color of the rig and how things were painted and how guys were wearing their pants, and all that sort of stuff, that was super legit. I mean, they were filming in Midland and Odessa, and it was probably from the 40s, mid-40s to the late 50s, right at our era. And there's even characters in the found footage that you're like, oh, that's Jen Paxton. Oh, that's Lord Cooley. Oh, and it's every one of you like, wow, it looks just like him. He's wearing the same stuff. He's wearing a little tie with a little cufflink. I mean, it was really reaffirming to see that and emotional and that, man, this guy lived this life and we captured the essence of that sort of in a very strong way. It was critical for me though, and Juliana, the wardrobe designer, and I went through everything in terms of, from this era to this era to this era, because even the whole field clothes changed over the 20 years.
I think it was a history lesson for all of us.
Yeah.
It was really cool in that way.
Oh, for sure.
It was like living history.
Yeah.
I mean, y'all brought history to life. I love history.
I used to think when we would be out there filming scenes where we were having the pickaxes cutting the flow lines and having to beat 6 or 8 hours And just thinking that these men went through this every day. Every day. You know, basically it is the men who made America, who built America through the oil business and what they endured.
Yeah, and you know, we didn't get unfortunately into this in the actual story, but at that time, I've heard up to 60% of West Texas Intermediate fueled World War II. And it's like, that's what these guys are doing. My granddad did not go to war because he was in the World War.
Right, it's too essential.
Yeah.
And so, you know, these guys and women too, obviously. And the story of Jim and Lee was also reiterated by that found footage. Like, a good woman was next to a good man. You know, even though she might not have been the wildcat or running things, she was making the business work, and that was the story of my granddad too. You know, it's like his wife ran their business for a while, and it's like it created what was then and still today the most prolific, you know, oil field in now in the world.
Yeah.
Like it's, you know, and it was developed, and it's still, the cool thing I really learned was technology is still developing
I have to ask,
every
I
day.
have to say one more scene.
Yeah,
So the scene with like the paint where she's like, you got the paint, right?
yeah.
I'm interpreting this as something like visually. I don't know if this is like, if it like, I've just done so much work on protests. Like, are you trying to do this sort of like mother, like seriously,
Just
when I
say-
break this scene down, I'm like, what is this? And that's what I'm literally,
Well, if you think about it, it's like young men in the Army. You know,
Right.
they're out in the middle of nowhere and have no access to, you know, young ladies to hang out with.
okay.
And there's some pretty big sexual
Laying
tension
pipe.
going.
Right.
In the story, in the book, sorry, she's experiencing a lot of that too with her very kind of non-complacent husband who's just kind of around. So it's this tension between them both and them both thinking about one another.
Okay, because yeah, visually.
It's
I'm like-
sexual.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Visually, I'm like, how do I interpret this? I did want to ask that question. Great.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know how the old timers who watched it last week, what they think. But the book is very sexual. Very, I mean, and I cut out a lot. I mean, it touches upon themes at that era, homosexuality and, you know, the sexual tension and all sorts of things amongst the characters.
It sounds like something I have to consider for a career studies class someday.
I mean, it was a very interesting book for 1967 with West Texas Oil.
All right, I mean,
Have you read it?
I have not read it, but you know, in any career studies class I've taken, even as taught in Texas,
Yeah.
they're always out in San Francisco driving stuff and not looking at things local, so now I'm going to have to, and like I said.
Hit the book.
It's
the book.
it's one of the most well-written
Yeah.
books.
Right.
I'm serious. This guy was a I don't know, he wrote 2 books. And I mean, I'm a big fan of Texas authors and you know, Cormac McCarthy and Iron Orchard and they write well, very well. And this guy is right, he was right up there with it. I mean, very, very poetic and very unique narrative. So it's, you gotta read it. It's a great book.
And I think it's on print now, so maybe
It's on print.
this will
Yeah, we're
bring
hoping
it back.
to.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, we're trying to make that happen, working with the family.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
How did your cinematography, your lighting, and your color play into your storytelling?
And color play into the storytelling?
Yes.
Very much. In fact, it spanning, you know, some odd 20 years, it went from West Texas to from the oil fields to West Texas sort of home life to Fort Worth. So our palette went from grays and a more colorless palette to a more vivid sort of, I don't know, the days of wine and roses where everything's going well and having fun, to beautiful little West Texas house and this couple having a great time. So we brought up the greens again and made everything very vivid and playful, almost like a Douglas sort of
And then back in Fort Worth, it went a little darker and a little more richer and darker, sort of grime, sort of red, deeper colors, so more aged. Yeah, and we played a little bit with grain and looks. There's different looks for each side, you can see, but it was I worked with a French colorist in New York, who the VP had connected me to, who is also kind of a genius guy. And we worked on it for months trying to get this thing right. And we finally just settled into this look, and I think it's pretty darn unique. I'm anxious to see it on a really good big screen. So see if it holds up. It did in Midland, but it wasn't a great screen. So, What about your cinematography and your lighting?
Exteriors were virtually no lighting and very little shades or filters on any level, or light sources through windows and things like that. So nothing that felt, because HD can be, it can just get too crisp and too clean. We ended up putting a little grain in it again. We wanted to feel very cinematic, and I think he did a great job with that.
I feel like we were always chasing the sun too, because those sunsets and even after the storms, every day, that magic hour, really, the magic hour of West Texas was something I've never seen. And the cinematographer, Matthew, he would literally lose his mind about this sunset, we have to capture it now, we have to go now. And he would literally be pulling people together every day. And he'd be like, we'd be driving in the van and just, if we didn't get everything in his mind, which we still did, that he wanted to shoot, he would just be staring at the sun going down and just wanting to shoot and shoot and shoot. And I remember you having conversations like, "Matt, we got it.
Yeah.
We got it. You can only shoot the sun for so long." He wanted it every day. He had never seen light like that. And you could see it in the film. I mean, it's beautiful.